It was a result that the Liberals were dreading and a result that the Conservatives weren't expecting. But in the end, the Conservatives took back the riding of St. Paul's from the Liberals. Hello, I'm Adrienne Batra. With me are Brian Lilley and Warren Kinsella. Now, that opening line, I will full disclose, was borrowed from your column that you just went live online because it was a late night. Way into the wee hours
Yep.
did the result finally come in. But in the end, Brian, the Conservatives won perhaps one of the most consequential by-election results that we've seen in a long time.
And it truly is consequential because this is a liberal stronghold. The last time that the Conservatives won this, I don't know, a third to half of the electorate in that riding weren't alive. It was 1988. They were not alive. The people who were just born in 88 are 35 now. So this is a long time coming, and they had to pull an all-nighter to do it, but they did it. I texted a friend in the Leslie Church campaign about 12:15, 12:30. I said, well, congratulations. It looks like you guys pulled it off. And they wrote back, not celebrating yet, nervous about the advance polls. And what? And so I watched for a while later, and the gap started to shrink and shrink. By the time I fell asleep, and I literally fell asleep with my laptop sitting on me, and woke up before 4, and the Liberals were still ahead. So I go to bed and I wake up to text messages from you guys telling me the Conservatives had won. It was crazy. Yeah, Warren texting the group saying, "Holy crap!"
Yeah, it was really quite something, Warren. I mean, it's been a long time since all of us stayed up to the wee hours for an election result, but in the end, Leslie Church, the Liberal candidate, lost. But is it her loss or is it Justin Trudeau's loss?
It's partly her loss. And by the way, this is the face of a guy who was on the couch at 4 o'clock in the morning. And because we're so hopeless. We're such hacks. We just, we have to see. So I got a note from Brian, and then about at 4 o'clock, I saw it change over. It was like, holy crap. And then I sent a note to you guys, like, she lost. The Liberal Party lost in a riding that they haven't lost in decades, that was considered one of the safest Liberal ridings in all of Canada. Like, this is one of the ones, if they're reduced to 5 seats, this is one of the ones that they keep.
Yeah,
And
so when Michael Ignatieff was reduced to 18% of the popular vote across the country, Carolyn Bennett still won this with 40% of the vote. The Conservatives haven't had above 32% of the vote since they won it in 1988.
And Leslie Church came to Parliament Hill and came to Ottawa with Michael Ignatieff. That's how long she's been around. She's been a chief of staff. She's been a lobbyist for a major social media platform. Like, you name it, she's been around. Everybody knows her. She had the full and complete support of the Trudeau PMO. And in the end, it didn't matter. So yes, to answer your questions, partly it is the campaign she had. They had to bus in people from Ottawa this week in order to support her. But mainly, it's a failure of Justin Trudeau. And he needs to think this morning, if he's thinking about it at all, whether he stays or goes. Because if he's losing this seat, guys, if he's losing St. Paul's, there is not a safe Liberal seat pretty much anywhere in the country, with the exception of Mount Royal, which is Anthony Housefather, who was thinking about leaving the Liberal Party. They're not safe anywhere.
Brian, I think that there is a lot of rethinking this morning. I think that the Liberals expected to eke it out, but certainly hang on to the riding. I think after they trotted out our failed finance minister, Chrystia Freeland, yesterday, who called anybody that voted for the Conservatives cold, cruel, and small, Freeland's words, that sort of said to me, there's some concern there. But on the other hand, Conservatives who you were speaking with in the last 24 hours were thinking, There's no way in hell we're winning this. To quote one conservative insider saying, anybody that says we're going to win is lying to you. Well, it's a different morning, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, it truly is. And I'm having honest conversations with some of the top people in the conservative camp yesterday, people that I've known for a long time, who you can say, okay, don't BS me, or you're just managing expectations by saying we're
Mm-hmm.
not going to win. And that's when they said, we're not winning. We were never winning this riding. Anyone who's telling you we're winning is lying to you. And I said, okay, but if all of these things came together, things that we'd all talked about last week, if he gets the Jewish community out in force, if he gets small business owners and professionals who are upset about capital gains, if he gets enough disaffected liberals, he could win. And the response was, but that's not happening. So he's not winning. And this morning, it's a very different result. Now, I've been arguing, not so much arguing, but disagreeing with several liberals here in Toronto who had been telling me, look, we're losing. And I said, I don't think you are. I think you're going to eke out a win. And I didn't think it would be super tight. This morning, I'm having to text liberals to say, okay, looks like you were right and I was wrong. Now, think about this. If you're one of the many Toronto Liberal MPs who came out, and especially the suburban ones, who came out to support Leslie Church to try and get her over the finish line, you're thinking about your future this morning. I'm thinking of people like James Maloney in Etobicoke Lakeshore. Is James, who's had a very long law career, is he going to retire as an MP now and say, well, it was a good run and I want to spend more time with my family, a bit more time at the cottage? If you're in, John McKay recently did that. John's been an MP for 27 years. That's probably one of the ridings you would have thought was safe. Maybe it's not now. So if you're a Liberal MP or a potential Liberal candidate to replace one of these guys who's going to retire, what are you thinking this morning?
Right. Warren, you recently wrote a open letter to Justin Trudeau, which of course landed nicely on the front page of the Toronto Sun. And in that, you talked about it's the reflections he needs to make. I would submit to you, I don't think he's that kind of leader. I don't think he is particularly reflective. I don't think that he is that particularly thoughtful. But this result, I think, is going to thrust him into that idea that maybe I do need to rethink this, because every single Liberal MP who we're referring to as we discussed about the fortress, the Liberal fortress, is now vulnerable. And the pressure from caucus is going to be so intense, certainly in the coming days. Does he listen? Does he care? Does it matter?
It matters. And, in politics, and all of us know this, you're only remembered for your last win or your last loss. They don't remember anything else. And like Pierre Poilievre, he's a leader too. He wasn't even campaigning in this riding the past few weeks because his strategists were telling us the truth. He didn't think he was going to win it either. Nobody thought who's been involved in politics thought this was possible, but the impossible happened. So yeah, Justin Trudeau needs to think of it this, because the thing he'll be remembered for, the last thing, is not just losing St. Paul's, it's the big enchilada, losing the election. Like, he does not, people tell me all the time, Tories say, oh, he's got too big an ego to quit, Warren. You're wrong. And I say, well, having a big ego is the reason why he is going to leave. He can read a poll like the next guy. He can see, as of this week, he's 20 points behind in every single major pollster's calculations. He doesn't want to wear that. He doesn't want that to be his legacy. That is why he's going to leave, because he's got too big an ego. He is not somebody who's a kamikaze pilot who wants to drive, the good ship Liberal into the side of a mountain. He's not going to do that.
Are you going to have to cancel your summer vacation, Brian? Is Trudeau is he going to resign?
Well, you know me, I can work from anywhere. So no, I'm not canceling my summer vacation. But just bringing up the election results, Warren mentioned the polling and all these polls saying that, well, the Conservatives nationally are getting 40, 41, 42%. And Liberals could discount that and say, well, yeah, but they're running up the tally in Alberta and in Saskatchewan where they hold every seat, and it'll be different in Ontario. And if you had said that to me yesterday, I would have said, well, yeah, they're going to do well in Ontario. They'll get 42, but that won't be in the middle of the city. Don Stewart won with 42.1% of the vote. Voter turnout was 43.5%. That is big for a by-election. The last two by-elections we had were 27 and 28%. This is not a small win at all. He got more votes than the Conservative did in the last full general election. So that 42% you're seeing in the polls, it showed up in the heart of Toronto. That is panic time.
That is panic time. Warren, from the leader's perspective, well, obviously Pierre Poilievre is going to speak this morning, and Justin Trudeau is going to speak this morning at some point. Or I don't know, maybe his team will hide him. But I believe there are some public items on public issues on his agenda this morning. So what does Poilievre say, and what is Trudeau going to say?
Poilievre is going to say he's delighted. Welcome this new member of his caucus who's worked hard. So the usual stuff. The tougher statement is Trudeau's. I suspect his people will be in the background saying, well, the ballot was a meter long and our calculations are, that made it hard for people to find, but that's not
the woman with the name at the top alphabetically.
Yeah. And Stewart's name's right in the middle of this meter long ballot. Publicly he's going to say, these are not an expression of what people think about the government. We've been delighted and honored to have the support of the people in 3 successive elections. We're going to work hard. We've got a plan. I believe in this cause and so on. They're not going to get him to say what everybody wants to hear him say, which is, I got my ass kicked. I got humiliated. And the principal reason is me. That is something Justin Trudeau is never going to say. He's just going to say the usual stuff. But again, I'm sticking to my prediction, guys. I think he's going to go, and I think he's going to go this summer. And I think this by-election has hastened his departure.
Last word to you, Brian. I think that there are, again, a lot of torn up speeches this morning and change in calculation as to who's going to say what and how this is going to really play out. But we started talking about that this is probably one of the most consequential by-elections, because we've all led this up to say, if the Liberals lose, Trudeau likely will go. Do you still think that is where we are, or as we've all agreed upon, he's so adamant, he's not reflective, he doesn't have that ability to say, I take some responsibility for this?
Well, my line on by-elections is always, they don't matter until they do. And this one matters because it's a major turnover. It's a TSN turning point, if you will. This is the seat they couldn't afford to lose. So, he does have to have reflection. He has to think about what this means. Does he double down and say, I'm still the best guy? I mean, I did have a column last week saying, the reason Justin Trudeau hasn't left is he might have looked around the room at the people to replace him and thought, I'm still better than them. And there's a solid argument for that. Mark Carney with his beer. Hello, fellow beer drinkers. I think that's going to weigh into it, is will he do better than the others for the party, or will he drag them down further? Will he just be giving someone a poison chalice who will then have to be replaced again? And should he stick around? Those are all factors he's going to have to think about over the summer. And so I'm not ready to say he's leaving yet. I'm not joining Warren's camp yet, but I am willing to say they're going to think about it over the summer at the cottage. Maybe he's going to rent your place at the Crow, Warren.
And he can join it with Leslie Church. But St. Paul's, by-election, BY. I feel like this is a BYE election. So I think he's going to go.
Well, as those results start to sink in, that the Conservatives now hold of what was a Liberal stronghold, we'll see what Justin Trudeau does. Well, let us know what you think in the comments below. Like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go to the TorontoSun.com. You're going to find commentary and coverage there you will not find anywhere else.